Hello, I'm Heather.
And I'm Ryan.
Welcome to the podcast. It's game night, it's sibling rivalry, it's a walk down memory lane, but most importantly, it's politics free.
Guaranteed.
Welcome to round 6, Your Worst Nightmare. Here's how it works. We have a set of cards. On each one is written a nightmare. We'll pick 4 cards, and Ryan will have to place them in the correct order according to what he thinks my worst nightmare is. Then we'll flip it around and it'll be my turn. Whoever scores the most points wins the ever-coveted Gloating Rights Trophy. Until
we play again.
And that's how we're going to do it. That works well. Little cue. All right, running score right now is Ryan 28.
Mm-hmm.
My score doesn't matter. Let's just...
Yes, it does. Heather, what's your score?
It's 19. It's 19, and you gave me a pity point in one of the rounds. So this does not look good for me. Ryan, are you ready for your first 4 cards?
I'm ready.
Excellent. Quicksand.
Mm-hmm.
Losing your wallet.
Mm-hmm.
Mold.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to strangers. Once again, quicksand. Losing your wallet, mold, talking to strangers, what is my least to my worst fear?
Okay, number 4, talking to strangers.
Correct.
Number 3, losing your wallet.
Incorrect.
Number 2, mold.
Incorrect.
And number 1, quicksand.
Correct. You scored 2, bringing your running score to 30.
Nice. I had a feeling that losing your wallet and mold was, I had a 50-50 chance of getting that right, but
yeah,
I know you
pretty much.
You have no problem talking to strangers, and I figured out of all of those, quicksand was the scariest of all. So
it is. I don't know. I should get back to that SAS survival guide. We were talking about last episode and find out what I do with quicksand, because I have heard it is a nightmare. People die in quicksand.
Yeah, the trick is not to struggle, because that makes it worse. Okay, Heather, are you ready for your cards?
Yes, Ryan, I am.
All right, here you go. They are skin diseases, hippies, math, and moths. That's skin diseases, hippies, math, and moths.
Thank you for enunciating those so well.
You're very welcome, Heather. I did it for the listeners so that there was no mishearings.
You did great. I gave you a hard time, but secretly I'm proud of you. But I have to give you a hard time because you're my brother. Here's what I've done from least to worst nightmare. Number 4, hippies.
Wrong.
Number 3, moths.
Correct.
Number 2, math.
Wrong.
Number 1, skin diseases.
Incorrect. No, that one's correct. You got it. Good job. 2. Math being my least, because I like math, and then I did hippies. I mean, I don't particularly have a problem with hippies, but there are some hippies that can be overbearing.
Yeah.
And I would rather deal with moths than hippies.
Well, that all makes sense. And I guess I put math up there pretty high because I just assumed because you hate reading that you would hate math too, but I was wrong.
I hate reading, absolutely. Back in school, I loved math. I just didn't like the math on the computer when I had 1 second to answer a problem because my brain doesn't work that fast.
Try to do it with muscle memory, because what we did was computer flashcards. You learned how to use the number pad, so you just muscle memory.
Heather, I don't think there's muscles in your fingers.
If there were no muscles in your fingers, you couldn't bend them and lift things with them and straighten them out again.
Tendons, Heather, tendons. There's tendons in your fingers.
Google finger muscles.
Heather, if there were finger muscles, I could do curls with my fingers.
You're about to regret this whole conversation.
Heather, you're gonna regret it. You're really gonna regret this, Heather.
As I'm looking at the pictures, I'm not seeing muscles in the fingers.
Because there are no muscles in the fingers. They're tendons.
I'm amazed. There are no muscles in the fingers. I am not as smart as I think I am. And it's constantly deflating to find out how much I think I know that I don't know.
Heather, I guarantee
there was muscles in them.
that you're much smarter than I am. Okay?
No, Ryan, every time we do a Google challenge, like I'm going to Google that and prove you wrong, I am the one that is wrong. I do not remember a single time I have been right in any argument we've had of this nature.
But it's always stupid piddly shit that doesn't matter.
Ryan, I am ashamed that I did not know there are no muscles in human fingers. I feel stupid, and I'm seriously considering editing this entire conversation out of the podcast.
You better not edit this out, Heather. You cannot edit this out. That is unacceptable.
I'm ready to move on with the game, which is what everyone's here for, okay? So, are you ready for your next 4 cards?
I'm ready.
Mice/rats, motion sickness, measles, mothers-in-law. That's mice/rats, motion sickness, measles, mothers-in-law. Also, props to them for pluralizing it mothers-in-law instead of mother-in-laws. That is correct. Please continue.
I thought it was mothers-in-laws. Did I make you feel good? Did I make you feel better about yourself?
I don't believe that you really thought that. Otherwise, I might feel slightly better. Let's continue.
All right. So I'm pretty sure I botched this one, but here goes nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, motion sickness.
Incorrect.
Damn it. Number 3, measles.
Incorrect.
Number 2, mothers-in-law.
Incorrect.
And obviously the last one's incorrect. Number 1, mice/rats.
Yes! I have been waiting for the moment when you would not get a single one right. This is the first time it's happened. 0 points for Ryan.
Ooh, Heather, you have to get just one right to win this round.
Well, no. Do I?
Yes, because we're tied 2-2 right now.
Ooh, that's so much pressure. So much pressure.
Hope you choke. Anyway, so what was your order, Heather?
Here was my order. Number 4, mothers-in-law. I actually get along with my mother-in-law just fine.
I figured it was motion sickness because you don't get motion sickness.
Oh, things have changed. Things have changed in my old age.
Okay.
Number 3, mice/rats. You had those pet rats when we were kids. They were fun. I had a pet mouse. Like, the mice and rats don't really bother me.
Yeah, but as a rodent problem?
Well, it's not a nightmare to me. All right, so, okay. Number 4, mothers-in-law. Number 3, mice/rats. Number 2, measles. Number 1, motion sickness.
Interesting. Yes, I totally botched that.
The worst thing for me is the tilt-a-whirl.
Really?
Oh, my God. We have this, like, very near where we live, this sort of mini kids amusement park. And so we took the kids down there a few summers ago, and Charlie just wanted to full-time go on the tilt-a-whirl. But the kind of, they don't strap you into it or anything. There's just this bar that goes down, and the bar did not lock in place during the ride.
Hell yeah.
I'm not going to send Charlie, my child with autism and no regard for her own safety, by herself on the tilt-a-whirl.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm going to go on there with her. So we were going on the tilt-a-whirl over and over. I almost vomited several times, and I eventually I made Mike get on with her. I said, listen, I can't go back on this thing. So I made him get on.
And he was done after the first ride.
That is actually exactly what happened. He went, okay, well, I'm done. Let's leave. So we all left. It might have
good
been.
times.
In fairness, I think it was close to closing time at the time.
Gotcha. All right, Heather, are you ready for your cards?
I am ready.
All right. Identity theft, long tunnels, having your blood pressure taken, and having your eyes touched. That's identity theft, long tunnels, having your blood pressure taken, and having your eyes touched.
Here is how I have ranked them, least to worst nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, long tunnels.
Incorrect.
Number 3, having your blood pressure taken.
Incorrect.
Number 2, having your eyes touched.
That is correct.
Oh, thank goodness. Number 1, identity theft.
That is as well correct.
Oh, okay. 2 points for me, making the total of the episode 4 Heather, 2 Ryan. I finally win one, and I actually did manage to catch up on you. So Ryan has 28 and I have 23.
I went up to 30, Heather. 30.
Oh, really?
You said you caught up to me. You're catching up.
And you are correct. You did get 30. So you're at 30.
Mm-hmm.
30 to 23. So really, there's still a huge gap. Fine. We're going to move on because it's time for research inspired by the episode.
Was the research about measles?
No.
Was it about tunnels?
No. Is this going to be part of the segment where you just guess to see what it's going to be about? I'm excited. Let's do it. It's going to be about talking to strangers.
Oh.
From Inc.com, I found this article that says this: talking with strangers is scientifically proven to make you happy.
Agree to disagree, but okay.
According to this article, at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, not to be confused with Vancouver, Washington.
Which people do confuse.
Yes, I know.
Quite
I know they
frequently.
do.
Even if you specify the state, people are like, BC?
And if you say you're from New York, everyone automatically assumes you mean New York City.
Ooh, I wonder what other people in the U.S. struggle with that's related to that.
That would be much more interesting than this, but I didn't research that, so let's plow forward.
Listen, here's the thing. When it comes to talking to strangers, do you go out of your way to have a conversation with a stranger?
Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't.
There are so many times where I've just tried to, start a conversation. Not necessarily start a conversation, but I'll say something, just in passing, at the grocery store or whatever, and people just look at me weird. And they'll be like, well, I feel like an idiot.
Yeah, that does happen to me. In fact, it's happened enough where I've kind of backed off on just talking to strangers unless they talk to me first, in which case I'm perfectly happy to engage.
Yeah, same.
There was this one lady last year took the kids to the playground, and I was like, hey, started to just talk to her. And she was so cold and so uninterested.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I was making her very uncomfortable. And I was like, well, now I feel uncomfortable. But I had sat down on the bench she was sitting on, not right next to her, on the other end of it, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, what do I do? Because I don't want to continue to be here. But is it rude for me to just be like, well, bye, and go sit on another bench suddenly? Which is what I wanted to do.
I would have walked out of there like, well, see you later. Done the robot.
Sorry that you don't like my presence. Why was I worried about being rude? I should have just been like, okay, cool, well, bye. And just gone and sat. Ooh, and then I should have sat on the bench that faces that bench and just glowered at her. Like a creep. I would have felt better. Okay, so here's what these psychologists at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, Canada did.
Mm-hmm.
They sent people into a Starbucks. Some of them they instructed to just go in and out as quickly as possible. Some of them they instructed to have a conversation with the cashier for a few moments.
Mm-hmm.
Right here, I just want to say my biggest peeve is if I'm in the Starbucks, and it's a specific to Starbucks because I am there for my coffee and I want my coffee badly, to have somebody engage the cashier in a conversation when I am still waiting.
Having worked as a cashier before, you are encouraged to engage in conversation, and they want you to engage in conversation with your customers. They want it to be very personal, and they would get on you if they saw you not engaging with the customer. So, if anything, they're doing their job by engaging.
I just think there's times when you should do it and times when you should try to keep the line moving along. That's
Sure,
all I'm saying.
I understand, but we live in a culture where it's all about the reviews. It's all about what the customer says. Like, the customer is always right. All that jazz. And the last thing they want is a negative Yelp review because some Karen wanted to have a conversation, but they got shooed away. Even though there were 15 people behind her, she just wanted to say her piece and be able to have a good time. So here's my 1-star review.
I have been seeing one article after another, and it's not the customer is right anymore. That's not a thing anymore. No, now it's the customer is the asshole. This is the trend.
Oh, I don't disagree with that at all.
So from your perspective, the customer is always the asshole.
I would say about 75% of the time. And it would also depend on who the person is that's working.
Well, here's my thing, right? If I go through a day and I perceive that 50 people have been an asshole to me in a day, odds are I'm actually the one who's an asshole.
Oh, for sure. There's a point where, you got to recognize, like, if it's a constant problem, then yeah, I think you have to start looking inward. I feel like the people who probably get it the worst when it comes to the service industry are fast food workers. I feel like they have to deal with assholes far more frequently than anybody else.
Yeah, but bro, they also provide the worst customer service of any other industry. One example, I go through a Wendy's drive-thru. I ordered a coffee. I said, "Can I have 2 packets of sugar, please?" She hands me 2 packets of Sweet and Low. And I said, "Oh, do you have any sugar, like granulated sugar?" And she looked at me, rolled her eyes into the back of her head, moseyed on over, picked something up, showed it to me, and said, "The only other thing we have is this," which said sugar on it. And I said, yeah, that'd be perfect. Thank you. So she hands them to me, another huge eye roll. That's the kind of service I get at a fast food. I don't get that at a Starbucks. I don't get that at like a high-end grocery store.
Right. Listen, so you want to hear about my experience recently at Taco Bell? So we did this online order. We did it through the Taco Bell app. I get an email that says the order is ready. I go to the store. I'm like, "Hey, I'm here to pick up an order." And they're like, "What's the name on the order?" And I was like, "Rebecca ordered it." So I was like, "Oh, it's probably either under Rebecca or Ryan." "No, we don't have an order for that." And then I was looking at the email. I was like, "Oh, looks like there's a number. Here's the number." I rattle off the number. He looks, "Yeah, no, we don't have a number like that." And I was like, "This is the X, Y, and Z store, right?" And he's like, yeah, this is it." I was like, "Well, I got an email that said my order's ready." And so the guy just kind of stands there awkwardly, and he turns around and he goes to the drive-thru window and he starts taking orders.
Wow.
And so I'm standing there like an asshole. And there's already a girl at the drive-thru handling the drive-thru. And he starts, and it's a small location. It's not like McDonald's with a double-decker drive-thrus, right?
Right.
So there's 3 people, and you can see the kitchen. You can see the whole kitchen from where you stand in the counter. That's how small this place is. And there's 3 people furiously back there getting orders ready. And I'm just standing there. This guy looks over and he's like, he runs over. He's like, "Hey, sorry, man. Here, what's the number?" And I give him the number. And he's like, "Yeah, I can't find that number. What the heck?" And he's like, He's like, are you sure
He
you're
acted like he had been looking for it?
No. He came over. He's looking in the computer. He's looking up the order in the computer, right? But it's not popping up in the computer.
You made it sound like he just stared at you, didn't know what to do, and walked off to the drive-through window and just stood there like...
that guy did.
Okay.
So the first guy, we'll call him John, okay? So John was the first person to help me. Jimmy is in the back preparing orders, and he sees me standing there like an asshole, and he runs over, and he's like, hey, what order are you looking for? So I give him the number. He looks it up in the computer. He's like, what app did you say that was on? DoorDash? And I was like, no, it was on the Taco Bell app. And he's like, yeah, I don't see any history of that order being done. He's like, it's not DoorDash or Grubhub. But I was like, dude, no, the Taco Bell app. Like, you guys have your own app, the Taco Bell app. And he goes, huh. This woman in the back goes, you're at the wrong store. And I looked at my thing and I said, this is such and such address, correct? And she goes, yes. And I was like, then I'm at the right store. And then she just goes back to preparing food, right? So this other guy is like in a panic and he's trying to be helpful and he has to keep up with orders. So he runs back and he starts doing orders. And so I'm just standing there again by myself. Like, what do I do, right? So I'm like...
Now, has the app charged you? Like, has it taken money from you and told you to... Okay.
The money has come out of our account, right? So, and I was like, okay, well, maybe there's like some mistake. Let me just check the bank account, see if everything, like, so I look up, sure enough, like it had come out of the account. And so I was like, well, screw it. I'm not getting help here. Like, let me call Taco Bell app, right? They have customer support to see like what the hiccup is, right? Maybe there's something just up with the app. So I call them. Well, it's a Friday. And guess what? Nobody at Taco Bell customer support works on Fridays. So I can't get hold of anybody. I go back to the counter. I was like, hey, I understand that you guys are really busy right now. But I was like, I made this order. It says that it's ready. And all of you have been ignoring me, except for you, Jimmy. You're cool. But I'm just standing here like an asshole. I was like, could somebody please help me? So this other guy that's working back there, we'll call him Harry. Harry's like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. Whatever. And just kind of blows me off. And I was like, well, look, the money came out of my account. Can I at least like redo this order? Like, and I was staying super, like, I'm sounding more frustrated than I actually was. I was just being like very direct and not getting pissed. I was like really like on the verge of getting upset. Like I was going to go full blown Karen on these people. I was just like, could maybe we ring up my order? Because you guys have charged me for this order. So then Jimmy says, you know what, John? Just do that and comp the meal. So I'm like, great. So I give John my order. He comps the meal.
What's comp the meal mean?
Complimentary.
Okay. Gotcha.
So no charge, right? So he gives me my cup to go fill up my soda. And no sooner had I put my cup up to the ice, John comes back with a bag full of my food. And he goes, your order's ready, big smile. And I was like, 2 drops of ice fell in my cup. And I stopped and I said, you guys got it ready that fast? That's amazing. He goes, no, it was on the shelf the entire time.
Nobody checked the shelf.
And I was like, my food's cold now. I was like, I've been sitting here for 20 minutes fighting with these fucks about my food. And it was there the entire time. And so then Jimmy in the back goes, are you kidding me, John? The guy was right the entire time. His food was right there. You never checked the shelf, John?
I will say this because of it's the age of the Karen. I've been like ultra careful lately of like not appearing to be frustrated if I can help it.
Right.
But it is frustrating when I know that if I were in their shoes, I would be giving better service than they're giving.
Right.
Here's a great example. There's this trampoline park we go to all the time. Today we went there. I took Charlie after school. They close off some of the attractions with a little sign that says, please request for somebody to come, because they have to have someone standing there to supervise.
Mm-hmm.
So I went. There was one employee talking to another employee. By the way, there was one other guy with his kid at this place. There was nobody else there. There were 4 total customers, okay? This guy is talking to this male employee, talking to a female employee, getting his flirt on.
Mm-hmm.
I had watched 2 employees go into the back office to do I don't know what.
The sex.
I thought maybe. I was like, probably, because I got really cynical in this scenario. So I go up to the guy and the girl that are flirting. I was like, hey, could somebody come and open that attraction? He's like, oh, there's not somebody there? I was like, no.
There's
and
literally
like,
only 4 of you.
I know. Well, I didn't want to be a Karen, Ryan. So he's like, oh, he's probably in the bathroom. So he goes, he leaves his flirt spot to go find the guy in the bathroom to come back and tell me, he's in the bathroom. He'll be right here, to go back and flirt with the female employee, where there was nobody at that attraction, nobody using it. They had to both stand there talking to each other. Then a third employee comes and joins them, and they're all just chit-chatting while I sit there with my daughter waiting for somebody to come open this attraction. So at the end of the day, it's like, okay, it's not something to be that upset about. And I didn't really get that upset about it. But in my mind, I was slightly frustrated because I was like, if I had been that guy, if I had been in his shoes, I would have immediately said, I'll come and do it.
I would have been like, hey, let's go open this up together.
Yes.
Come on, Sharon.
So when I just get frustrated when I know that I would give friendly, immediate service, that I don't get it. And it's because somebody wants to. It's not because they're busy and they're working their butt off, right? That's more understandable. Right. I'm fine with that. I'm like, you know what? You're working your butt off and you're doing a great job and you were kind to me and you acknowledge me. Fantastic. I couldn't be happier.
Oh, for sure.
I basically beat this to death, and we were talking about how talking to strangers is really uplifting, and it's not. It sucks. Don't pay attention to the stupid study. All right. It's time for stories from Reddit. I thought I'd change it up a bit because we've been talking about kind of disaster-related things because of the games. And we're talking about encounters with strangers. I thought, you know what? Let's get some happy encounters with strangers instead of terrible ones. What can we come up with? So here's what we've got from Manism. Back when I was in high school, me and a few friends were eating lunch at a Chinese place looking fairly rough, and this old guy came up to us and asked, "What kind of trouble are you boys getting into?" I replied, "None, sir." And he gasped and pulled a 20 out of his wallet, drops it on the table and said, "What's the point of being a young man if you're not getting into trouble?" I love one of the responses from 1.21 gigawatts.
Uh-huh.
I'm so going to do this when I'm old.
It actually is a good idea.
I love it. From a deleted account, back in high school when I was at a Chinese restaurant, my friends and I were talking about how absurdly easy it would be to cheat on all the finals we just finished and how we couldn't wait to go get wasted later that night. About 5 minutes later, the waiter told us some lady paid for our meal because she thought we were all so nice. It confused the fuck out of us. Well, all of this just goes to show that strangers can be kind.
Oh, for sure.
And I think most of us are pretty decent. And I just, I like that.
Yeah.
Let's close it out, Ryan, with the question of the week from randomwordgenerator.com. What is the best thing that can happen in the first 5 minutes after waking up?
Finding out I just won the lottery.
That would be an awesome one. Mine is, my kids are still asleep.
My kids sleep till forever. They're like into the afternoon. They're at that stage in their life where they just sleep all day.
I yearn for that, and I just don't know if it ever will happen. I'm starting to doubt that it will.
Oh, it will. Don't you worry.
All right. I'll try not to. Anyway, listen, send us your stories. We really want to hear from you. anything that you've been reminded about by the episode, inspired by the game we play, pertinent, email it to us at thepoliticsfreepodcast@outlook.com. You can also go to our website, thepoliticsfreepodcast.com. Scroll down just a little. There's links to leave a voicemail, and also our email link is there. Also, the link is in the show notes. And share the podcast. We have been, I think the last episode I mentioned this too, but we've been really getting a lot more listeners, and we love that. And I'm sure it's because you're sharing, so thank you, and please share some more. And last but not least, if you want to play this game, Your Worst Nightmare is by Pressman. You can go to pressmantoy.com and search Your Worst Nightmare, or link directly to the product in the show notes. They're not a sponsor, but they make a mean game. It is mean. It's a mean game. No, it's a fun game. Get this game. And we'll leave you with this free advice.
Be kind to people.
I love it. Until...
Wait, hold on. Can I say it better? Can I be...
Sure.
Be excellent to each other.
I don't like that as much. Until
Until we play again.
Goodbye.